At some point in the eons of Wayback Time, humans lived hundreds, even thousands of years before they died. During that time, humans existed and lived less from the pivot point of the body, or flesh as it were, and were able by what was left over from the primordial divine condition to strive in life and living, and longevity, by touching the spirit world, spirit capacities, for lack of a better word. So they could see the spirit world, and be in touch with it more than we can. Eventually the human species, in the setting of the fallen watchers, became so corrupt that God changed reality and its link to humans, therefore deeming humans to tilt towards the flesh in their trading with reality and time, and therefore, as it is written in the book of Genesis, the Lord said, "My spirit will not struggle with man forever, because he is only flesh. His days will be 120 years. So the words, "my spirit struggling with mankind," speaks of God holding back the effect of the time effect, old time as it were. God changed something in humans, changed their capacity to link to the spirit world, to be in both domains, as it were, at the same time. Then God relented and allowed the different time effect, which is really the humans now submitting unto time, or the solar system of days, directly by way of the organic body. That is why he says, "They are flesh," or "now they are flesh," and therefore the new time constraint, because a thing of only flesh must submit to the material world. And though 120 years, a little more than what we see, it remains 120 years, it is only less because we do bad things with our body and mind which subtract it. Little more, but the 120 years remains the allowable standard. So we find in the book of Romans chapter 1, something nearby, or perhaps an exact reference. It says, "So God gave them over to something." God gave them over to the body, it seems, and because God relented, and this giving them over also caused their minds to be given over, so this was a pivotal moment, a specific act. What follows is the scripture in the same passage, are these words, "and they received in themselves the due penalty for their error." Our first reading suggests that it is the acts of men that causes the penalty for their error. It is not clear what the penalty is. Is the penalty the flesh bound to the solar system days, that of 120 years, or the disconnected mind from the light? If God gave them over, then this ought to be the penalty, and the penalty then must occur before the acts of men referred to in Romans, so the nature of this penalty remains unanswered. If the penalty occurs after the acts of men, then this suggests a second penalty beyond the penalty of God giving them over. Since I can't get any closer to that, I will leave it alone. As far as the change in the human mind after the God giving them over event, I think we think differently in our brains even as we had forgotten how to think like the thinkers of eons past. Perhaps when humans were still linked to spirit and body, before the penalty time change event, we thought with great spaces between our thoughts. We think one thing and then in some vastness of cosmic time, or a few hours or days later, we think another thought, and in between these thoughts we are full of self-awareness, in that pause having fullness of knowledge and being. After the penalty had occurred, we not only are bound to the flesh linked to the solar system days, our thoughts in our brain become compressed, and when thoughts are compressed and rushed, it must have a point. When we focus on something, or when a thought occurs to us randomly, it now must pass through the compressed point to enter our lucidity, and since we think we are the thoughts of our brain, we cater and bend to the thought that presents, and yield to it, we get glued to it, the mind of the soul or spirit bends to it in suppression. Now this compressed focal point of the pathological way of thinking is piercing. It is our only little window into lucidity. Its compression is piercing, we are completely subjected and vulnerable to its point. A point of trading which may refer to the needle of the dragon. Because there are fallen beings who induce a certain way of thinking into our brain, and their system is the system of the needle. Meanwhile, we don't judge other human beings, and we live in love, and we love other human beings, and we hold on to our Redeemer who can restore, and has restored the penalty, and overcame the dragons and their needle.